Radio show with agricultural news, information, interviews, in-depth weather, and more. It's Terry Henne and his Farm Show on 100.5 and 790 News Radio WSGW and online WSGW.com.
A mostly cloudy good morning to you. I hope your day is going well for you, wherever you might be. Yeah, cloudy, a little bit cooler than what we saw yesterday, a whole lot drier than what we saw yesterday. Terry Henne here at Radio Center, along with Jonathan Dent. Nice to be back in dry, warm studios here, Jonathan.
Absolutely. At the same time, too.
At the same time.
Yeah.
How about that? I actually saw some sun here at Radio Center within the last hour and a half.
Did you see a unicorn, too?
No, not yet. That's later in the day,
I'm
usually.
not sure about sun here.
After
we almost broke a record yesterday for precipitation. I was looking at that.
Yeah, we came close.
Wow.
And northern Michigan, they didn't get a lot of snow, but they did get some snow in some of the areas. So folks in Traverse City, around Alpena, that area, they call it 2, 3, maybe 4 inches of snow, but a lot of precipitation. We'll talk about that in just a second. Right now, temperature-wise, I didn't see any 40s. Where are we at right now?
Well, there's a 39 down in Detroit, so by the end of the hour, they'll be at 40. Right now, around here, though, out at the airport, 34 degrees. Downtown Midlands at 35. Here at Radio Center, also 35. Winds out of the west at 10 miles per hour, giving us a wind chill of 27. So, not too chilly out there.
No, not too bad. Breeze, obviously, a lot lighter than what it was yesterday. It got pretty windy overnight. It was quite windy as well, but now things have calmed down. And the temperature, for the most part, is going to stay in that middle 30s. And like you said, with the wind chill, there was a few flurries around just before sunrise this morning. And there'll be a few more flurries around as we go through the afternoon. We are seeing some snow flurry activity across northern Michigan right now, but nothing's going to accumulate. It's going to be pretty uneventful for the next few days. This weekend, we're going to have sun on Saturday, sun on Sunday. Clouds will be moving back in on Monday, and then we're going to see a big warm-up, maybe a little bit of moisture too, but nothing like what we saw over the last 24 hours. We're looking at close to an inch for quite a few of our reporting stations right here in the immediate Saginaw, Bay City, Midland area. And over in Michigan's Thumb, I know Bad Axe had reported something like 9/10. Cass City had an inch. Caro had close to an inch. And over in the Vassar area, better than an inch. The Back 40 in Richville, I didn't have the guts to put the rain gauge out. I really didn't want to know, but I've got Frankenmuth with 9/10 and Vassar with an inch. So I have to assume we had pretty close to that. And the ditches, they're about half full in some spots, which means the tile obviously are running because there was no runoff. Everything went right down, no frost. So we got some much needed precipitation in a lot of areas. And we could stand some more. It's not going to bother us at all. It's not going to hurt us at all. But obviously, we don't need any gully washers. Now, we're looking at next week. The long-range forecast here that I'm looking at right now on Monday with clouds and then a little bit of sun, and then clear on Monday night. We should make our way up to about 46 degrees on Monday. Tuesday, 50. Wednesday, 55. Thursday, 50. Now, taking a look at the records for record high temperatures in the immediate Great Lakes Bay region, we stand a chance of having 3 record high temperature days. I'm not saying we're going to get it, but I really think one of those 3, we are going to break a record high for this time of the year. As far as precipitation goes, no. We had a chance, as you said, of breaking a record as far as precipitation goes, but we didn't quite make it. And I think we're going to be below the radar when it comes to that for the next several days. But I'm going to stick with that forecast, long-range forecast, once we start rolling into about midweek of the week of the 20th. We're going to begin to see some changes in our temperatures. Moisture pattern, not necessarily, Moisture pattern is going to continue to average above for this time of the year for pretty much the remainder of the month of February. But the temperatures are going to begin to drop back down, which means a real good chance, if not during the day, at night, of snow. And at this time of the year, it's more of the heavy wet type stuff and maybe some sleet mixed in. So we're far from the end of winter, but you take a look off to the East Coast, get a load of this. Clarksburg, West Virginia yesterday, 77.
Woo!
Raleigh, North Carolina, 75. Lexington, Kentucky, 74. Washington, D.C., where there's always a lot of hot air. Well, it was yesterday, 71. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, that's a little bit closer to home, 70. And this morning, Raleigh, North Carolina, that's before sunrise or right at sunrise. They were at 61. Washington, D.C. was at 61. Richmond, Virginia was 61. Wilmington, North Carolina, 65. Philadelphia was 57 early this morning. And New York City was at 61. So they're going to be moving up. But that warm weather pattern, we didn't see quite as warm as what we thought we were going to see yesterday in southern Michigan, but all that activity moved off to the east, and they're going to get more of it as we go through the next few days. And next week, I'm not saying somebody's going to hit 80 degrees out there, but they are really going to be warm once again. And a major storm system is developing over the Gulf of Mexico, right around New Orleans, maybe a little bit to the east, and that is going to move through the Texas, or I should say the Florida panhandle, and it'll be moving up the East Coast as we move through the end of the weekend and into the first part of the work week next week. But that's not going to affect us. What's going to affect us is a system developing, I want to say, Louisiana, Arkansas, right in that area, and that's going to affect our weather. But that system well off to the southeast is going to be stealing a lot of the moisture from the developing system. So that's why I don't think we're going to get as much precipitation out of it as what we saw here over the next 24 hours. Record high in the state is 58, set back in 2009. The record low, 21 below zero, set way back in 1912. Sun sets this evening at 6 o'clock. Rises tomorrow morning at 7:41. More on the weather as we go through the broadcast. Jonathan, who's standing by?
Well, to close out this week, at least in terms of the markets, we're going to be talking with Gary Kaufman from Star of the West, then Doug Klein from Oppenheimer. All of that's ahead, but first, the weather report today brought to you by the folks at Nutrien Ag Solutions.
Nutrien Ag Solutions has the local expertise to recommend the corn, soybean, and other seed products that are the best fit for your field. Plus unparalleled agronomic support with products and services to unlock yield potential and improve crop performance from planting to harvest. Ask about our financing options to help you get more from every acre and lead the field. Visit your local Nutrien Ag Solutions branch or go to nutrienagsolutions.com.
Say, do you want to unlock the secret to higher yields? If you're applying dry fertilizer, the key to better yield potential is Titan XC. Titan XC is a fertilizer biocatalyst that unlocks and releases the bound up nutrients in granular fertilizer, promoting better root uptake and plant growth. Drive performance this season and beyond. Release more nutrition. Expect better results with Titan XC. For more information, visit lpi.ag/unlock or contact your Nutrien Ag Solutions crop consultant today. Farm Service brought to you today by the folks at Lingle Equipment. Kim Weiss over at Lingle Equipment is ready to take care of you, whatever you need. And right now, he's got a choice of two of the number one best-selling compact tractors or subcompact tractors at Kubota. Right now, the Kubota L-Series tractor, powerful diesel engine, ease of operation, your choice of gear or hydrostatic transmission. That's available. The BX Series subcompact tractor is available. Easy switching attachments, smooth hydrostatic transmission. That Kubota BX Series, that can take care of business for you. If that's what you need, they'll take care of it. Kim Weiss will set you up. He's over at Lingle Equipment along I-75 at the M81 Caro exit. That's just south of the Zewalki Bridge in Saginaw. Give him a call at 989-754-7801, or you can email him at k.weiss@lingle1.com. Gary Kaufman standing by, Jonathan.
Yes, indeed. Gary Coffin from Star of the West. Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning there, gentlemen.
We got a nice group of prices here to finish the week off, from what I understand.
Yeah, we got wheat. Wheat's, got a pretty good bump this morning, and corn and soybeans are kind of following along, I would say, Terry, at this point. So.
Well, it's refreshing after what we've gone through over the week.
Yeah, if we look at last Friday's closes and to where we're at the noon hour here, and basically, wheat is up 27 today, and that's what we're up for the week. So we've been pretty flat for the week on wheat. And then corn, we were up about a penny for the week, and soybeans are about down 3 for the week. But on those two, without the positive, we'd be negative on those. So right now, Terry, we have cash wheat up 27, puts the white at 744 and the red at 694. New crop up 23 at 771 on the white, 721 on the red. Let's call cash corn up 7 at 623. New crop up 4 at 534. Cash soybeans up 9 at 1453. And new crop, let's call it up 4, Terry, at 1304.
So a report came out this week, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a pretty neutral report across the board, generally neutral on wheat. Exports were left unchanged, and basically not too much changes within the parameters. Soybeans was slightly negative because they did increase carryout ending stocks, 14 million more bushel than the trade was guessing, which was kind of surprising in a way. And the corn was basically largely a kind of a non-event. I mean, basically ending stocks were increased 25 million, but that was already in the trade. And world numbers were maybe a little bit more exciting because they reduced the Argentina corn crop again by 5 million metric ton. And they're looking for some more reduction in production there in Argentina as we move forward as well. So,
well, at this stage of the game, we'll take that plus, and hopefully we can keep it moving next week. Huh?
Yep, just Black Sea news is kind of leading the market this morning with Russia getting more aggressive in Ukraine. They're talking about ice on the wheat fields in Russia. So that's the highlight of the headlines this morning. So.
Oh, wow. Have a good one. We'll talk to you on Monday.
Sounds good, Terry.
All right. Thanks, Gary. Gary Kaufman over at Star of the West. Over to Doug Klein we go.
Absolutely. Market report today brought to you by Schaefer and Beerline. Are you ready to upgrade to a new Ram truck for your family farm? Now is the time to order your new Ram 1500, 2500, or 3500. So you should see the folks at Schaefer and Beerline in Frankenmuth, the Great Lakes Bay certified ag dealer. They specialize in all models of new Ram commercial trucks and vans, and ordering is the way to go. You can buy with confidence from Schaefer and Beerline in Frankenmuth since 1852, where family and service sells cars. Also by Thumb Bank. They've been serving agriculture for over 125 years. They've got 2 locations in Bay City, also Cass City, Caseville, Pigeon, Bad Axe, and Marlette. Thumb Bank, where relationships are built on trust. Well, Doug Klein, how are we ending out this week?
Well, we got grains up a little bit. Energy is up plenty. Didn't get a new low in natural gas today. I heard yesterday that the federal government approved Freeport's export terminal reopening. That's been closed since June. Apparently, they handle around 2% of the natural gas that's produced in the United States through those terminals there. So it's not a huge deal, but it's a emotional deal, I guess, that we're actually going to start exporting again. And that's mostly going to Europe. So we'll see what happens. But like I said, it didn't hit a new low today. So maybe it based. I don't know. It's super cheap compared to crude oil. So we shall see where it goes. And then, I don't know, precious metals are down a little bit today. Not a big deal. Platinum is the biggest loser today, about 1.5% down, $13. So here's your numbers. The March corn, 677.5, up 6 3/4. The September corn, 608, up 3 3/4. March soybeans, 1530 1/4, up 11. November soybeans, 1369, up 3 3/4. March wheat is 782, up 24 3/4. And July wheat, 795, up 21 3/4. Crude oil, 79.76, it's up $1.70. Heating oil is 287.78, up 6 1/4 cents. Gasoline, 249.12, that's up 4.5 cents. Kind of sort of puts us around 315, which is kind of sort of where I'm seeing it. And natural gas is 249 3/4, that's up 6 3/4 cents. Over to currencies, Canadian dollar, US dollar buys 133.58 at the border, that's down 98 ticks. The dollar buys 131.51 yen, that's down 5 ticks. The euro's at 106.72, down 64 ticks. The dollar's at 103.59, up 37 ticks. Gold's at 1858.80, down $7.40. Silver's 22.01, down 13.5 cents. Platinum's at 950.20, down $14.
All righty, Doug. Have a nice weekend.
Thanks. You too.
It's kind of nice that something happens and it's not political, right? Or
the day is still
or is it?
It's only 11:50.
Yeah, that's Friday, you know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Have a good one. We'll talk to you on Monday.
All right.
All right, Doug Klein over at Oppenheimer. As far as Doug talks about the precious metals. Why don't we talk a little bit about precious gems? On the line with me, I've got Craig Voorhees with the Rummel Agency. Craig, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Terry. We're trying to dry out a little bit today.
Oh, man. I was talking about rainfall amounts, and over in the Frankenmuth area, it's looked like 8/10, 9/10, an inch. I got a text from a listener down in the Chesaning area. Mr. Henne. Okay, well, then I know I'm in trouble. Mr. Henne, in Chesaning, we had 1.25 inches of rain.
I don't doubt that, Terry. I was actually in DeWitt and St. John's yesterday and came home through Chesaning, and boy, I saw a lot of standing water. Ditches were full. Really quite a sight for the middle of February.
Yeah, just unbelievable. Let's talk a little bit about some precious things out there that maybe we should be looking at and covering them.
Right. We've got a holiday. Well, some folks consider it a holiday coming up on Tuesday, Valentine's Day. That tends to be a lot of those precious gems get given out as gifts at that time. And it's a good idea to put those on your policy once you've received them. You want the policy to cover them for loss. If a stone were to fall out, if you were to lose it, or if by chance it were to get stolen, you'd want that piece replaced, and we'd like the insurance policy to do it for you. So if you get something like that this next week, be sure to call your agent. If you already have a lot of those types of items, jewelry and sparkly things, make sure your appraisals are up to date, because you don't want them to be undervalued if something would happen to them.
The other thing that a lot of folks don't think of is when you go to these auctions, you go to these different places, and there's jewelry, there's gold, material and that stuff, and you buy it for like next to nothing. It's probably a good idea to have that stuff appraised, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you want to get it replaced for what it truly would be valued at, yes, you would want a appraisal on file, within a couple of years old. I wouldn't go any older than that. So if you've got something that's 3 or 4 years old, it'd be a good time to get an updated appraisal on it.
Good suggestion. Craig Voorhees, have a nice weekend, okay?
We will, Terry. Thank you. You too.
You bet. Talk to you later. Craig Voorhees with the Rummel Agency. Stephanie Zelenko, do we have Stephanie on the line with us right now, John?
Yes, we do. Stephanie, good morning.
Hi, Stephanie.
Good morning.
I don't know if you happened to catch Craig, but he was talking about standing water in some places. Out in your neck of the woods, did you see much water?
We did. I'm not too far from that Chesaning area, and so we did. There's a lot of standing water still, even as I look out the window now.
Really? Now, you guys didn't really have a lot of frost, did you?
We did not. Actually, I just got a new soil probe that I am testing, and I was kind of excited because there really isn't a whole lot of frost out there that I might be able to, the next couple of days, go out and play with that.
I'm kind of curious. is it a good idea if a guy, I mean, you don't want to be tracking around in mud because right now some of these fields are pretty muddy. Is it a good time yet to be doing some testing?
You can go out and soil test. The problem with saturated ground is it will alter some of the results. Potassium, for one, is very susceptible to the moisture that comes in the soil. And so I always recommend guys to test at the same time of year. That way, those environmental conditions, for the most part, tend to be the same. And so when we get these heavy saturation points like we have now, you can do that, but you just need to take into account that some of those numbers may not look the same as they would under drier conditions.
I was at the Sugar Beet Summit yesterday, and a lot of the meetings that I've been attending, the sessions, every one of them, they talk about soil, they talk about nutrients, they talk about knowing what you have in the dirt. I guess you've been talking about this every time we talk.
Right.
How should producers go about making sure that they know what's there?
Well, I'm going to talk about it, all the time because I live that life, 24 hours a day. That's, my job in the fertility industry, and we realize growers don't. So that's why we're trying to do a push, to educate people of the importance of pull a soil test, pull them frequently, every 2 to 3 years. There's tons of resources out there to help growers understand those numbers. And there's a lot of people trained in the industry that can help walk through all those different things. Fertilizer is expensive. So we want to make sure we're spending those dollars the best we can, and understanding that soil inventory is the best way to go about starting that process.
Are cover crops a help or a hindrance?
Cover crops can be both a help and a hindrance. So you need to make sure you're doing them correctly. There's a number of crops that will bring up those deep nutrients that have leached through the profile to bring those back closer to the surface. But cover crops, as they break down, do require nitrogen. And so, they can take nitrogen away from your crop the next year as part of that process. So they have good sides and bad sides. You just need to make sure you manage them correctly so you can get that full benefit.
Good information. Stephanie, we really appreciate it. Have a nice weekend, okay?
You too. Thank you.
You bet. Back with more in a moment.
How do you make the most of your land? Shaw does it behind the wheel of a John Deere 1025R compact tractor.
Why do I go by Shaw? Shaw stands for skilled hands at work.
And he lives up to the name as he uses his versatile tractor to
make my yard look as beautiful as I possibly can.
But the Hubbards use their 1025R to
do both vegetables and my flowers. It's exciting, putting yourself out there, learning something new.
And with a long list of easy-to-attach implements, ranging from a front loader to a box blade and backhoe, they both can make
the earth take the shape that I want it to take.
There are millions of ways to make the most of your land. How will you make the most of yours? Nothing runs like a Deere. Get a 1-Series tractor for just $130 per month at your John Deere dealer today. For additional cost information, please call toll-free 855-633-2315.
Contact one of Tri-County Equipment's 11 locations in Auburn Hills, Bad Axe, Birch Run, Burton, Caro, Fenton, Lapeer, Marlette, Reese, Saginaw, or Sandusky, or visit Tri-County Equipment online at tricountyequipment.com.
Coming up on Monday, we're going to touch base quickly with Chuck Cervinsky over at Maple Hill. He's going to be talking about starting garden and flower seeds. So Jonathan will plan on him then. Speaking of planning on, we'll be back at 12:30 with an update. Now we conclude our program with the playing of our national anthem.